Hey y'all, we are back with another Mighty Multimedia Reviews. It's an extras, that's what I'm going to call these, because I'm going to split it off and do smaller ones that are more in the headlines and might be able to get them a little bit more traction, and then lump some other ones that I'm talking about mostly just for fun into these extras type of things. Right? I think that's a good format. We'll see. We'll just have to see how it plays out, but I think it's what I'm probably going to stick with. All right, outfit change. I was going to change my outfit for the last one, for this new extras. In between, I was filming these back to back, but I forgot. I'm not going to re-record the whole thing, so whatever. This is the new outfit. Deal with it. So the next one we are talking about is another new one, and this is going back to Christmas, so it'll probably be a little bit out of date by the time this comes out, but that's okay. I watched it, so I'm going to review it. This is Candy Cane Lane on Amazon Prime. It's great to see Eddie Murphy back. I don't think I've seen Eddie Murphy in too many shows recently. I know I haven't. So that's great to see. He's a great actor, really funny guy. Love to see it. A big aspect of this, it's the Candy Cane Lane, is all these people do. They decorate their house with Christmas lights and whatever, and everybody likes this guy's house with blow-ups. I don't know why. Blow-ups are mad lame. So I had a bad taste. I don't know if that was trying to say something. I don't think so. This is just a funny, silly movie. But whatever. So the crux of this movie, because Eddie Murphy he loses a job, which is unfortunate, and then so he puts everything and he wants to win this this competition that they're doing, right? Because he doesn't have a job, so he's got to focus on something. This light competition, there's like $100,000 cash prize. So he goes in and he talks to this weird lady at this house and gets cool 12 Days of Christmas big thing that lights up and sings songs and whatever, which is pretty cool. I would put that up if I had it. But then she curses him, which is kind of weird, right? Because like witch, genie, evil, something, blah blah, whatever. Devil is another good one. Gives the person like a choice, or talks to them a little bit more, and kind of like makes them decide to take a deal, and before they curse them. But in this, they just don't. In this one, the person who's selling them, the person who's cursing Eddie Murphy, doesn't give any type of warning whatsoever. Just sells them the thing, and it just comes with a curse. There's the part where he didn't read the fine print, but that's not a decision. I guess it's a decision to not read it and not do your due diligence, but it's not a decision to take a deal. That felt weird, but it's not a devil, I guess, is some of it, right? It turns out to be an evil, misguided elf, which is a new one. So I guess kudos for that, but it's Santa, so it's Christmas, so you have to go into more of that. I don't know, whatever. It's fine. So this is really getting away from the whole plot, right? I don't know. I mean, it's just like a good, solid family Christmas movie where they're dealing with dynamics with jobs and kids and their futures and competition and all that. It's fun, and then this nonsense happens with this evil curse. And then, because if Eddie Murphy doesn't collect gold rings, he'll turn into these little porcelain guys, because there's a bunch of them. In one of them is Nick Offerman, which is fun, in the evil elf's village. And then so they get like 4 really off the bat, right? Because you think there's 5 originally. They don't give a number, which is also crap, because you just don't understand what's going on. They get 4 really easy, like, all right, I guess we just have to get 5, and then not, and you're like, oh, okay, they got 5, so I guess it's got to be 12 because it's 12 Days of Christmas, and then skipping a bunch because the plot's not good, and then she just springs on and she adds everything up, and it's like 40 rings because of all this stuff that's combined. Maybe it's even more than that. Get out of here. That's crap. She just make up her own rules. I don't like that. You need more rules. But then Santa is here, and because they're at the Candy Cane Lane thing, because they know that they're trying to get the elf there, because they took the little porcelain guys, and they know she wants her back. This is just a bunch of absolute nonsense. Then Santa just shows up. He's Black Santa, which is pretty fun. But he's just, it doesn't, he's giving like an indeterminate amount of help. He's just doing some things, but he's Santa. Just fix the whole problem. Now you see that it's your fault, that your elf is causing these people a bunch of misery. Go do something. Help them. Fix it. God damn it, Santa, what are you doing? This is awful. So the daughter wants to be going to track, and the son wants to go into band and be a musician or whatever. And there's just these brutally awful, awkward things where she's running really fast to get a ring, and then some person from a college comes up and is like, "You're fast, call me, go away." And then the son, he has to like distract the drummers, and then someone, I don't even remember, but it's the same thing. It's just he's drumming, he's like, "Oh my God, he's really good." And some people are like, "Yeah, you're good at this." Like, what are you, oh my, like, it's just getting bad. It's just getting really bad at this point. And then, so they can't get all the rings in time. I don't even know, like, where are they? She's like, haha, you don't get the rings, but there's 5 minutes. So then they use their wedding rings as golden rings. Dude, what? I mean, you're trying to be nice and hopeful, just, blah. Santa comes down with this mechanized sleigh and no reindeer. Completely against this. And not standing for this. That is crap. We're not doing that. I agree with Stanley from The Office. Christmas is Christmas is Christmas. There's some things that you can do, but Santa is Santa. You know, he's got the reindeer. He's got to stick with that. I guess there's some movies where I like it, so maybe it's just I don't enjoy particularly this specific take. But in general, I like old-fashioned Christmas stuff, and I think that this movie should have taken some more lessons from that, because if you don't have a great idea, don't mess with the formula. And then we have the ending of this movie. Brutal. A hot mess. So the mom is looking for a promotion or something, and she does a phone call and she gets the promotion, but she gets the phone call and she talks for 5 seconds. It's not enough to have any type of conversation whatsoever. Just what are you doing? I just think about that for half a second. It doesn't look real. And then they have dinner. They have Christmas dinner with the neighbors that we've established that they hate. Why? Why would you do that? So just so Eddie Murphy can give the neighbor, re-gift his parting gift from The Office that he got fired from? Like, that's not worth it. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. And then Nick Offerman, because he was a little porcelain guy, and then Santa made him into a real boy again. And then he knocks on the door. He's like, "Hey, can I come in and enjoy with you at Christmas or whatever?" Like, yeah, why did he leave in the first place? Where the hell is he gonna go? He's from like the 1850s or something. What was the plan? What was your plan? I mean, I guess he was just, I don't want to be a burden on these people. How did he get back here? I guess Santa dropped them off. What is he gonna do at all? I mean, that's a whole movie in itself. Like, this guy's coming back from the 1850s and he's got to build a whole new life. He doesn't have an identity. I mean, the problem with so many modern movies is that they just don't think about the ending. I don't know if you need to have the ending planned out when you're making something, but you need to at least follow your story that you're creating to a logical conclusion. So many movies nowadays just do stuff about the plot, and they just don't think about the ending at all, and they just kind of like lag it off for a little bit, and there's just like gross, bad, awkward stuff happening, and then the movie ends. A lot of the time, it's just you should have ended it earlier, and why are you tacking on all of this nonsense? You're just like throwing in a few dumb jokes for the trailers, I guess, and really trying to like shove down the message of the movie. But it's just, movies nowadays just need to be way more subtle. They need to know when to end their story. It either needs to be too early when it's naturally and you can't add on more nonsense, or you need to figure out how to end your story well. You can't just do a bunch of craziness and then just end it on a dot. You need to lead it out to its natural conclusion. Again, whether that be shorter or longer, you need to figure it out. People in the movie industry need to get it together, because movies are just not ending well at all these days. All right, our penultimate review is another recent movie called Leo. So this is Adam Sandler voicing a very old lizard, iguana, I think. And he's a class pet to fifth grade, I think. And he can talk, but they don't talk. He's got a turtle friend in the cage, and then he just the kids take him home, and he ends up talking to them, and he teaches them life lessons and teaches them through stuff, but it's a problem that he's talking. And then the teacher's pregnant, who's really nice, so she gets replaced by this old grumpy lady. That's the main plot, right? All right, whatever. Adam Sandler does kill it. I mean, he does this like really old voice that's fun and it's good. A lot of it's very heartwarming. I appreciate that he did this. I don't know. I can't even think of too many Adam Sandler voice acting movies. So, and a lot of them are just really bad comedies. So it's good to see Adam Sandler do something a little bit different. Uncut Gems was a good movie, and now just like a fun animated movie rather than most of his garbage movies with his friends. I think this was mostly a good idea. So another twist with the plot is that Leo tells each of the kids that they are special and that he can only talk to them. Why? Super unnecessary. That's a terrible plan. Something bad is going to happen. Why would you do that? It artificially injects drama, and it certainly does create drama, but that's just an awful idea. Why would you do that in the first place? It doesn't do anything for you. Just tell the kids that you can talk. I don't know. So, this is what I thought would happen. Right? It did not. So what I was guessing was going to happen from this movie, it was, maybe at the halfway point or whatever, just dealing with all these kids who are helping them with the problems, Leo and stuff. What I thought was going to happen was it was going to just be a bunch of these vignettes, right, where Leo goes home and he's trying to escape, but he ends up helping these kids with the problems. Because that's like the first three. They spend a really long time. They're like 10 minutes, 15 minutes each or whatever. And I thought it was just going to continue with that. And then I thought it was actually going to either just continue with that for the rest of the story. And it was going to be just a bunch of fun, meaningful vignettes, or it was going to go for a lot longer and even go through different class years and everything and have him doing this and just kind of continue this and have a lot of fun, meaningful, creative ideas. And then at the end, I pictured this really cute moment where Leo finally dies and they're like, I don't know, maybe in a shoebox and like laying him outside the school under a tree or whatever. And then like all of the kids come back, right? They're like, there's older and different generations and there's like a huge crowd and they're all really sad. But Leo was upset that he didn't do anything and didn't have an impact on anyone's life. So this was tying that in about he actually had a really great impact on all these people. I think I was hoping for too much in that capacity. That would have been sad, but I think it would have been really artful and meaningful. That's not what happened. Miss Malkin, who is the evil old lady substitute, you didn't know if she was evil, and she was kind of looking okay about for a while. Then she took Leo home, and she was really freaking depressed. Didn't need that. She just like hated her life and everything. And then she got like really vengeful because everyone was like, "Good job, you're doing great with these students," but Leo was actually doing all the work. And then she just tossed him in the Everglades. It was like, screw you. What? Like, what the heck? So then, because his kids won this trip for doing really well in their history fair or something. And they're gonna go to Disney. They don't call it Disney, but they're gonna go to Disney. And then they're like, we need Leo. And then the teacher's like, oh man, the turtle comes and he's like, he threw him in the Everglades. God damn it. But then the teacher comes with them and they go to get him and they're all happy and they're great. Oh, there's this little piece where he thinks he's gonna die, but then he doesn't. He's not actually gonna die. Because like he's like 75 and then there's a bunch of lizards of same iguanas he's fine. He's like, he's 110. She's like, I'm not gonna die, yay, whatever. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. That's fine. So a few other things tying this up. Gonna be fast. That was an interesting sound. There's some singing, but the singing was very sporadic and kind of weird. There was this crying song that Adam Sandler did that was actually really fun, and it was definitely just I try to get it on TikTok and everything, and maybe do it in the trailers or whatever. And it was good, but it was extremely misplaced. There's no part of this movie because it wasn't singing, and he just did this really weird singing. I don't know. The animation was good. I thought the animation was very, very, very good for a lot of it. Felt really youthful and kid showy, but also like elevated into this movie. They could put some money into it. Except for the kindergartners. Those things were absolutely terrifying. I don't know. I know what they were going for. They were going for absolutely terrifying, and they nailed it. And I didn't like it. Just like monsters. It's like almost if you really animated the Canadians from South Park with their weird mouths that don't work right. Like these, they just like open like an egg. Oh, freaky. That's it. That's all I got. Fun little movie. I wanted to see it just because it looked like a good time, and it was late, and I just wanted to do whatever. But I watched it, so I'm gonna review it. And you know, if you're older, you probably don't need to watch it. If you just love Adam Sandler, go for it. But most kids would at least be entertained. So if you want to put it on for kids or something, it's probably do the job. Lastly, but certainly not least, we have a book, Team of Rivals: The Political Genius of Abraham Lincoln. This is by, as you can see, Doris Kearns Goodwin. So this is not a biography, but it's, because it doesn't follow anything, it's a snapshot of the history period of Abraham Lincoln winning the presidency and then what he did until his death. And it deals with a lot of the different members of his cabinet. We'll get into that a little bit more. This is I know I heard this, but the book doesn't cover a whole lot of it actually. But what I've heard, it's the impetus and the inspiration for the Lincoln movie that Daniel Day-Lewis is in. Again, it kind of doesn't go over it much. But I don't know, whatever. It's still getting, I guess, just the character of Lincoln, a character of a lot of these other people, I suppose, right? So the first thing that I wanted to do is impart some of this knowledge on people, but also just kind of show what this book taught me. So a few things that I didn't know before I read this book. The first one was how unlikely it was that Abraham Lincoln got elected president. I knew it was a little bit of an underdog, and I knew that presidential elections worked differently back in the day. But it was just incredibly lucky, to be honest. It was just in his home states of Illinois, and it just happened to be there in Springfield, and the convention of the Republican Party, and there was like 4 other people who were all better candidates, more highly known, more likely to win. But none of them had the majority sealed up, right? So what Lincoln did was just some local guy, did some local politics, and he got in there, and instead of trying to make himself win, he tried to make himself the second choice of like literally every voter of all of the other ones. So when none of the other people won, they looked at who else people were looking at, and the name turned out to be Lincoln, and he pulled off that victory. That's crazy. Didn't know that. That's a good tidbit, and you know, how lucky are we that he ended up in that seat, right? Next one is that how unlikely it was of the freeing of the slave. How unlikely the eventual delivery and the putting into effect of the Emancipation Proclamation. It was not, the way that it went down was not how I think a lot of people thought it was going to go down. Most people didn't think that they were just going to free slaves. A lot of people didn't think they were going to free slaves really at all. But there was this one person, I don't remember his name, I apologize, but he was like a really hardened abolitionist, but he didn't think it was a good idea to just free slaves. His plan was to ship all of the recently freed Black people to South America. I mean, I guess it was more of a mainstream idea back then. That sounds insane nowadays. But Abraham Lincoln really thought about a lot of this. Many people told him not to do it, but again, he ended up doing it. It's all stemming from Abraham Lincoln. The way that it ended up working out was not the way that most people would have had the balls to do. So pretty crazy. And then the last one, I didn't know that Mary Lincoln had been thrown from a carriage in an attempted assassination attempt, and this was right around the Battle of Gettysburg. I just thought that was a really fascinating thing that I hadn't heard before. Because obviously the Battle of Gettysburg was a really momentous occasion in all of history, but specifically in the Civil War. And it was like during this, in the surrounding days, Mary Lincoln, Abe's wife, had gotten seriously hurt, and so he was dealing with that while getting all the news of Gettysburg and everything. So that's just another tidbit of history, how grueling it must have been waiting for everything and dealing with the facts and all of that coming out about that battle. Other battles too, but specifically this instance. So again, the main crux of this book, right? Team of Rivals, is so the point of this is that once Lincoln secured the nomination for the Republican Party and then ended up winning the presidency in the general election, he took the 4 people who he defeated in the primary and he put them into his cabinet. Can you imagine a president nowadays who had a bunch of competent rivals? First of all, that's not it. Nowadays, we just have like people at the top and there's no one else to be able to challenge them. We need more challenges, but I'm not going to get on my soapbox there. But can you imagine presidents nowadays beating all of these really competent rivals and then folding them into his cabinet, who's going to work with very closely and going to need to hear their ideas and everything and allow them to go cover their areas of the cabinet. It's like the interior, defense, all these different things, war, and treasury. That's crazy. I mean, and not a lot of presidents have done that before or since. Really impressive, and it worked out. Lincoln needed all of these people to deal with this terrible crisis, one of the worst crises that this country has ever gone through. Just a brilliant move, and the political genius part of this in the subtitle is him managing all of these different crazy egos and beliefs and motivations and everything. Really channeled everything. He really played a lot of people against each other, to be honest. It may be a little deceptive if you want to call him that, but it was just, again, his political genius. I was able to channel all of this intelligence and passion into the common good. A few other thoughts. One in history, I knew a little bit of this, but this book really hammered down on it, is just the sheer lack of competence of the Union generals. There's a few of them. It wasn't just one guy, but it was brutal. So it was McClellan, Hooker, and Meade. They all kind of took over from each other once the other one messed up. And the big one was they let Robert E. Lee escape over and over again. It was, McClellan was just apparently, at least they tried to portray him here as a little bit of a coward. He just never wanted to make that final move. I think Hooker was too gung-ho, if I want to remember. And maybe me just kind of messed up, something like that. They all had their faults, but just incompetent. It prolonged the Civil War by seemingly years, and it must have cost countless of lives, if you're really thinking about it. Because it seemed like really capturing Robert E. Lee and taking out of that army would have ended the war. And they just messed up over and over again, and it was brutal to hear that. That must have been really tough. If Lincoln didn't keep it together, any lesser man, it probably would have gone way poorly. And the other one was just thinking about the technology of this crazy important time. It was pretty well. Horses and carriages is the big one, but communication and everything, all of this, it was just such a momentous era, and you kind of try to relate it back to what's going on today, and even a few decades ago, but you really can't. It's a totally different world, and it presents totally different problems. Really fascinating. Okay, before we wrap this up, I want to talk about the demeanors and the personalities of some of our famous presidents, right? So, and specifically, the fact that, we're talking about great presidents, right? There's been a lot of presidents that have been really great, but most of them have not been great people, right? So, you have Teddy Roosevelt, who did a lot of solid stuff, but he was usually like just brash and aggressive and everything, and also, he was an imperialist, so that didn't help. That's not a great character trait to have there. You have FDR taking us through the Great Depression and World War II and everything, but he was pampered and deceptive and all of these different things, kind of really conceited, not even kind of. I've read that Winston book, a little recently, and he was just real full of himself and like a mama's boy. So there's that. You got JFK, led us through a lot of the Cold War and did some other stuff. Unfortunately, he passed away before he could do more of that. But still, he was manipulative and impulsive and all of this. He was a ladies' man and a playboy and all of these different things. So a lot of great presidents have not been great people. But that's not true about Lincoln. Everything that I've read in this book and everything that I've heard in a lot of different aspects from a lot of different sources, Abraham Lincoln was not only a great president, maybe one of our greatest presidents ever, but also a great human being. Just amazing morals, a fantastic guy to be around, warm and friendly. Everything about him, from his tall head to his feet, was just wholeheartedly good, a good person. So that's pretty special. The one other one, I maybe I should read more about this. Washington might be on this list. I've heard some pretty good things about him, just him being brave and courageous and stuff. So that could be it too. But it just shows you that I guess you don't need to be a good person to be a good president, and a lot of the times maybe it helps not to be it. I don't know if that's good or bad. That's just kind of the reality, except for Lincoln. Lincoln was really one of a kind. So the ending to this book is pretty crazy. So it ends with the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, right? That's what this is about. It's about Abraham Lincoln. So I knew there was a plot to kill simultaneously the president, the vice president, and the secretary of state. Right? That's the line. Line of succession. But what I didn't know, so I knew that someone cowered the vice president. He went to the bar or whatever. That makes sense. I knew that. I didn't know that Seward was the Secretary of State here. Got a knife in his face. That was wild. So Seward was his biggest rival, his most competent rival. Secretary of State is kind of the biggest cabinet position, at least back then. I think mostly still is now. But someone just knocked on the door, and then just kind of rushed everything, and then stabbed him like through the face, like through the goddamn face, and it was like bleeding, and it was just like all this grotesque they were talking about. I didn't know that. That's crazy. I know this is I didn't know the history lesson, but pretty well. I don't know if many people knew that there was this plan to do more of this as well. They were trying to sweep the whole line away and get their next person that they thought would be more to their cause. It was definitely Southern people. They were. I don't know if it was more about slaves or whatever, but just how Lincoln was handling the whole Reconstruction and really taking down and increasing the power of the central federal government, and really pushing down on the South, because some people kind of thought once the war was going to be over, he was just going to back off, but he was going pretty hard in Reconstruction. After Lincoln died, they kind of got their wish and they backed off, and we got Jim Crow and led to more problems, blah, 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 blah. History. So just another interesting factoid. Last piece, it ended with what's his name? Like Tolstoy, whatever. Guy who wrote Crime and Punishment. That some people in some Russian place was asking about Native American. I think it was other people telling stories about how they wanted to hear among the greats of Caesar and Alexander the Great, and people like that. Who they want to hear stories about him, but they also want to hear stories about Abraham Lincoln, even a little bit after his death, showing that he was a legend, that he created a legend, that he became a legend, and that it a lot of times people aren't recognized for their genius until after they die. And it's true. I mean, Abraham Lincoln is a freaking legend nowadays. His legend looms large. I think some people forget about it nowadays. Some people could probably use a little bit more reflection on it. But either way, he is a monumental character in the history of the world and of the United States in particular. It's really cool. Really glad that this book did so much, really delved into a lot of it. Beautifully written. What a great story. But again, you can't tell the story unless you write it in a compelling way. So that was good. That is it from me. That is all the reviews I have for this time. There's extras thrown in here. I talked about it before, but at the turn of the new year, I'll have some, not better, some of these were fun, but some more kind of in the headlines, exciting things that people probably want to see reviewed. There'll be a lot of those there because I'm going to use this break, and there'll be some great ones. I was thinking about forecasting new stuff for the new year. Let me know what you think about that. I don't know if I'll have time to squeeze it in, so I might not be able to do that, or maybe I'll do it really small, but I have some really good, fun ideas for topics as well. It's been a pretty good year so far for this channel, just having fun and everything. Hopefully maybe in the future we can start building it up a little bit more. I would like to be talking to some more people. Either way, this has been a blast. Thank you for anyone who has watched it. And I just am glad that I did this as a really great creative outlet and all that. So yeah, absolutely. That's it for me for 2023, I suppose. I'll see you next year. Signing off.